Hey, good evening, folks. What's going on? I'm your host, Ben Wu, for another awesome episode tonight of CMA Live presented by SiriusXM. It's been a few weeks since we last got together, but trust me when I tell you that the team here at Canadian Mobile Audio has put together one hell of a show for you guys tonight. It's a show that we were envisioning from the get-go, but with schedules and everything else, to get the stars to align, to be able to put the talent together in a single episode into a single panel was certainly a challenge, but I'm happy to say we're here. Welcome to episode 4, the Fabricators. Fabrication is what's on the line tonight. It's our topic of discussion, and it's really a topic which is super exciting because so much has happened in the world of fabrication in the last few years. I remember 20 years ago, there were the dreams and the ideas and the visions were always there, but sometimes the know-how or the tools weren't necessarily there. Or in fact, the training might not have been in place to be able to prepare installers to get to that next level and be able to fabricate the things that they could imagine and dream of. Well, tonight we're gonna meet some of those folks that have certainly pioneered the way for everything fabrication, some of the best in the business, award winners, Americans, Canadians, and it's going to be an exciting night. So strap in tight, get out a pad, a paper. I'm pretty sure you're going to have to rewatch this a couple of times with the amount of information we're about to throw at you. But we're going to do our best to put it in a format that is easy to follow. And of course, don't be afraid to ask questions. Something that we want to do, we strive to do is to create a relationship with our audience that would be able to answer your questions. And if we can't get to them, during the beginning of the show, for sure at the end, we're going to get everybody onto a panel together, a little bit of a powwow, and hopefully address some of those questions that you have for these fabricators. But before we get there, I've got a little co-captain to navigate us through this world of fabrication this evening. I'd like to bring him online. He's known as the entity called DMAC. What's going on, DMAC?
How are you, sir? Everything's good here.
Oh, I'll tell you, it's looking good because I can see there's been some upgrades. What are these great headphones? And I see clear quality going on. I love it.
Yeah, we got rid of the potato and we've upgraded to something a little bit better. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So we got a big night ahead of us, D-Man. We got a big night ahead of us.
Absolutely. I mean, we got the best of the best.
We got some heavy hitters.
Yep.
And I'm more than excited to get into it. I think what I want to do is kind of set up a plan. When there's a lot of information, we want to have a plan to make sure that we squeeze all that information and juice out as much as possible. First up, our very first guest, DMAC. I remember when we were all excited for that CMA Expo that we worked so hard on this last spring. And I remember we got together and we're like, who do we want as our headliner? Who's going to be the guy that's going to get throwing down the seminar and dropping the mic, and everybody's like, oh, this is the guy I need to come see in Toronto. And that guy's Brian Schmidt.
Absolutely.
Now, why is, in your words, before we get this guy on, why is Brian Schmidt the guy that we wanted so hard?
Brian's, basically, when it comes to fabrication, be it ideas, supplies, training, everything, he's the guy. He sets the benchmark really high with what he and his team put together, and he, with the school mobile solutions, helps people that aren't, that don't know how to do it in a way that they can make money with it. So decades ago, a big build was something that ended up taking days and nights, and we'd stay late at the shop building something. But they were rarely profitable for retailers. They were fun and they were neat. They were great to show off, but they were almost an annoyance, except for that they were really cool. So stuff that Brian does and stuff that the fabricators that come out to help him show these guys how to build amazing things and do them quickly. It's really changed what consumers have access to at and
what shops can offer as service these days. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
So we're definitely going to dive into that. We're going to bring Brian on. As for the rest of our panel tonight, we've got award-winning fabricator Tom Miller, who's joining us tonight. We've got metal master Sean Beshra, who's going to be with us as well.
That's it.
And we've also got from the West Coast certified auto sound and security, Mr. Tyler No as well. So super big lineup tonight. I think we're going to start off with the big man himself. What do you say?
Do it, man.
All right, here we go. Let's bring on from Mobile Solutions, the man, Mr. Brian Schmidt. Welcome to CMA Live, Brian.
Hey guys, how are you?
Oh, I'll tell you, this is our 4th episode, and with every episode, I get to learn a lot. And this one, I'm lucky to be joined by Dave because we have you on. And you understand that I was so excited to meet you in person and sit down and take notes and learn everything about what you had to do. Unfortunately, we didn't get that opportunity. But look at you! It seems like I'm in your classroom right now. Where are you? Where are you broadcasting from?
We're right in our bay here. We're right in our bay, and I just want to first tell you guys thank you. It's a true honor, and your words are too kind. I just love being a part of the industry and giving back, and we're all one big family. And I think what you guys are doing is incredible, and what a great way to bring our community together. And I think this format's here to stay. Beyond what's going on this year, I think this is a great thing, and we need to continue to do this. It helps bring us together and all go to the next level. So kudos to you guys. Nice job.
Thank you for that. I mean, as long as we keep it a little bit more tidy and in control than last night's debate, I think we'll be fine tonight. What do you guys think? Great. So here we go. Yeah, we got to laugh about it. What are you going to say? Let's dive into it real quick. Mobile Solutions. I'm looking at Master Tech certified. Let's start with that. Tell us about Master Tech certified. I mean, let's just be honest. Those are tuning in right now. I mean, these are installers, right? These are the people in the business. These are guys aspiring to be the guys that we're going to have on later. Those are the guys that want to be in front of you in the classroom. Tell them. Let's start off with Master Tech Certified. What is that all about?
So the Master Tech program is really, it encompasses everything we do. We don't want to just be focused on one thing and just be really good at fab or routering. We want to be good at everything. And that's wiring and tuning and troubleshooting and all the fabrication, upholstery, metal work. It kind of encompasses all of it. And so when we say Master Tech, we want you to be well-rounded and wear lots of hats and have lots of diversity. And as far as the new guys, I think this is so important. We want that young blood to come into the industry, to aspire to be better, to grow and to learn. And I know when I got into it, I was definitely influenced by a lot of people, which we'll definitely talk about. But we need that young blood. And so we want to bring those guys up through the ranks and give them inspiration and help them go to the next level. That's really our goal.
Yeah, and you know what? You've been kind enough to supply us a couple images, and I want to take a few moments here. I think it's appropriate just get right into it. I mean, you mentioned about training, right? Learning the skill set that it takes, and of course, we're going to talk about that afterwards. But I just want to show. I mean, look at this. Look at that. Who's that right there?
I shrunk.
So I mean, there's Tyler, right? Obviously part of the Master Tech Certified program, and a whole. I mean, look at this. This is what are we looking at here, Brian? Talk me through this. I mean, there's a lot of people in here.
Yeah, this is just one of our classes. One of our last classes. This is an Orca class, and we do 3-4 of these a year for Orca and many others. We probably train about 1,000 people through our building a year, which is a lot, and we're really proud of that. We're proud of our community. And we treat everyone like family. And if you come to Arizona, boy, we want you to have the best experience you possibly can. I know Tom's on the call and Sean and Tyler. They've all been to our place. They know the deal. And Tom is an instrumental part of helping us develop new content and teach. And we just want to have a first-class experience for everybody who comes here. That's our goal.
I really just want to show a couple more pictures because there's some awesome pics here. I mean, when you look at stuff like this here, when you're going to get your certification, it is hands-on, isn't it?
It is. It's very hands-on, and that's how we learn. We try to teach in 3 different ways. We want to teach you in the classroom, maybe some theory stuff, and then we're going to actually show you step by step, start to finish, from a pencil line to actually finished part. And then the last thing is you get to do it yourself, and you have a student project that's actually pretty legitimate, and we want you to take it home and be proud of it. put it on your counter or hang it on the wall or your garage or whatever you do. And it's something you'll never forget. And we have guys that are so loyal. They will sign up for every single class if we let them. So we we should have a punch card, really. But it's a lot of fun, and it's very hands-on, to answer your question.
That's amazing. What do you think, DMAC, of all this certified? I mean, where was this back in the day?
I mean, we had Mobile Dynamics way back, but I mean, there wasn't the level of fabrication, that Brian's doing. They taught some good installation stuff and productivity, and I know Brian does that as well. But the creativity stuff is just, it's incomparable. It's amazing.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, look at this here. I just want to bring up some images here. Like, this is crazy stuff. The level of detail and the level of finish on what I'm looking at here is, for me, unprecedented. I mean, we're talking about top shelf manufacturing quality end product. You know what I mean? And for me to hear that you can attend these type of classes and now, can I ask you something, Brian? Is this something like, if I'm going in there and let's call it, I'm an intermediate level installer and I want to up my fabrication game, how many lessons do I need to take? Is it a one-shot deal? Are there different stages? How does that work?
There are. Yeah, no, that's a great question. And we want to kind of qualify people so they're not doing calculus when they should just be doing, maybe geometry. But we have a Master Tech boot camp class, and we recommend that first. That's actually kind of a prerequisite to go into some of the more advanced classes, like the hot rod class or the upholstery stuff or the advanced tuning. We want you to take that first class because then you're able to kind of speak the language, if you will. We kind of do things a specific way, and the guys that have been here, Tyler, Sean, Tom, they all could tell you the same thing, is we can help each other at any point in the project, and we're not even saying any words to each other because we know the process. We all kind of think similar. We might have a different style, but the core part of it is similar. And if you've never attended that, it might be overwhelming. So that's why we recommend that boot camp class to start with.
Very, very nice. I'm going to shift gears a little bit here, and I want to get to know yourself. We will be getting, obviously, into the mobile solution stuff, and we're going to get into the SoundShield stuff. But, who are your earliest influences that got you started in this industry? Like, what made you go from, man, I need to put together this tool, this resource for the industry? What was that catalyst?
So, remember CES back in the day? I went to CES in 1990. That was the year I graduated, by the way. I'm old. But I saw Mark Fukuda there, and I saw
Mark Fukuda,
yeah, I saw one of his vehicles. I think it was his Blazer at the time or something around that, and I was blown away. I was like, man, he's like my hero. And I just was fascinated. I was actually going to college for mechanical engineering. That was going to be my grown-up job, and I just started doing this as a hobby, and I just kept going. And so Mark Fukuda, I would say, would be an early influencer, and Mark Lowe from Rockford Fosgate. Those two guys really kind of made an imprint on me and kind of showed me the way that, like, you can really be a master craftsman and go to that next level and just execute at the very highest level. And that's what I aspired to do way back when. And it's just still, I think back, like, I want to still do that every day. Still, I want to try to do the best job I can do every single day. And I look back at my early days, and that's where my inspiration comes from.
When would you say, at what point did you go from an installer to being a fabricator? And what was there a technology in particular maybe that played a role in that? Or what was when did that switch happen?
So we started competing in SPL and stuff. And some of you old timers know that it was a big deal to go to the IASCA contests and that type of stuff. And that's really when I was working retail, but we wanted to be the winners. So we wanted to start competing. And that's when I really, if I wanted to beat the next guy, we had to go to that next level and really push. And, I was fortunate enough to go to these competitions, and we did win. But I also got noticed by, Rockford. And that's how I got my job, is by competing. And I was able to get my job at Rockford by working the competition scene and working my way up through the ranks and paying my dues. I mean, it did not come easy. There's a lot of sleepless nights and working really hard to get there. but you got to work hard at it, and your skill set won't develop itself. You have to develop it. You have to put the time in, no matter what it is. If it's developing your thought process or drawing or CAD, and I know Tom and others are going to talk about this, but you got to put that time in to develop your skill set and go to that next level. And that's really where I push myself to go to the next level. I hope I answered the question.
No, you totally answered that question, because that segues perfectly into what I want to get into, and that is mobile solutions. So when did that start? When did mobile solutions? When was that born?
So it's our 15th year. So 2005. This is our 15th year. I was actually unemployed at the time, and I just said, "Hey, I got to do this. I'm gonna just try and go on my own." And I started doing it out of my garage, and just slowly built it up. We had about 8 things we were selling, and I was going to shops and doing training, and I just built it slowly and little by little, and and we are what we are today. So super proud of it. We have very, very humble beginnings, and I just had hope. I believed in myself, and pushed and made it happen. So it's not easy.
What did that look like? Here you are, Brian. You're working at Rockford. You have this idea to do mobile solutions. You're knocking on doors of retailers, right? Are you talking to the installer, and you're saying, what's the sales pitch here? What was the original sales pitch?
Well, I was fortunate because at Rockford I trained a lot of guys and we did fabrication at Rockford, so I had built quite a clientele. So the transition, it made it easier because I had a lot of friends at Rockford that helped me have a network of people, and that was kind of the catalyst. So to do it without that would have been very difficult. But and finally we just had so many people going, "Hey, I wish you had a place. We'd come to you." Well, here we are in Arizona. We had a little shop, and now we're in our facility now, and we're super proud of our community. I mean, we have so many great people that are like-minded that just help us push to the next level. It's certainly not just me; it's a lot of us, and we all kind of have the same vision and foresight, and we all want the same thing: is just to help each other and go to the next level. And I think that's a bigger part of what we do is our community and giving back, for sure.
So when you're talking about the community, one thing that Mobile Solutions has is a crazy network of top fabricators and installers.
Oh, for sure.
Key influencers, really the leaders in the industry. Obviously, that took you and your team a lot of time to develop and to build over time. So what is Mobile Solutions right now? What is the snapshot? What does that represent as far as its footprint in the industry?
Well, it's a pandemic freeze.
Yes, absolutely.
No, we're in the deep freeze. But no, I mean, this year is an exception. Prior to what's gone on in the world right now, I feel like it's a lot of, like I said, key people that contribute a ton. I mean, Tom and I have worked together for years, and Tom is probably one of the most talented guys I've ever worked with, and he's definitely top of the design chain or the food chain for sure. But we all kind of had this mentality of pushing ourselves, and when we get together here in Arizona, I don't know what it is. It's magic. We all just kind of like, oh, that's a cool idea. Why don't you do this? And we just kind of build off of an idea that just escalates super quick. And every time we come here, we all say, oh my God, we learned so much from each other in a 4-day period. And I think Tom can talk more when he gets on about this, but it's just magical to push each other. And you don't get that over the phone or at a trade show. It's us getting together, pushing it. We've had a few builds where Tyler was part of it, where we built Doug Dobson's car. And in that week period, I mean, we came up with some crazy cool stuff in a very short time. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, obviously the brain power, right? The collectiveness of it all. And what fascinates me is the sheer talent that it's attracted to what you're offering. And it seems like the best minds and the best talent get together, and you're talking about, hopefully we can get to a point where we can get together. I think that's the point here, and we're really looking forward to that. Here's another question I have for you. With Mobile Solutions, you offer specialized tools and fabrication equipment. Am I right in saying that? Is that the right way to describe?
Absolutely. It's very specialized in what we do, for sure.
Okay, I think this is a great time. I know for our Canadian listeners listening in, so Mobile Solutions as well as Sound Shield, that's a product we didn't really get a chance. I see it behind you as well. Sound Shield being a sound dampening material that you're part of. We want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So SoundShield is an awesome company. My good friend and partner, John Schwartz, he's really pioneered this from a previous brand, and he is he does an amazing job at developing this brand, and we're a huge part of it and help growing this brand. It's an awesome product, and we're super proud of that. And BB Distributing is our sole distributor for this for Canada. So
awesome.
And we have 2 new products that we just launched this year, actually this month. So we're excited about that. And then on the flip side of that, on the Mobile Solutions side, BB Distributing is our exclusive distributor for all of Canada for all of our products. And we also do the Installer IQ and a bunch of other stuff that I know a lot of watchers and viewers have been to and have been part of and had no sleep with. So we love our partnership with them. They couldn't be a better.
And you've come up a few times, right? To the BB Expo a couple of times, I believe.
I've been up every year for
there you go.
8 years. So,
well, yeah. Jay Haberman, of course, from BB Distribution, wanted to offer Canadian customers during our show live a couple of things. So let's start with that SoundShield deal. Check this out. SoundShield display program, a free wall mount display with the purchase of 6 rolls and a free floor standing display with the purchase of 12 rolls. That's right now live. We'll post this up on our Facebook page so you can download and get better details from it. But that's a special courtesy of BB Distribution as well as Mobile Solutions as far as SoundShield product is concerned. And if you're interested in the Mobile Solutions tools and kits, check that out. Right? Fabricators podcast promotion just for you guys right now. It's a sale, basically. You got different kits on sale, the router shield, smart pattern kit, as well as the 1/4-inch quad bearing flush trim. How popular are these products here, Brian? These are kind of like must-have deals.
I think so. They're your core products. They're the products that you need to do what we talk about, to build and execute with. And a lot of this stuff is their safety devices or devices that go along with other things, and they're core products. And we're very proud of a lot of the stuff that we're doing. We have patents on a few, U.S. patents on a few of them. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Amazing.
For sure.
Well, there you have it, folks. We've got some great deals. If you're, a shop owner or installer, you want to get in on some SoundShield or Mobile Solutions. Hey, Brian, I think I'm going to put this responsibility on you. This is my next question. My next question is introducing our next guest. But before that, I'm going to have to go to a quick commercial break. Of course, we got to thank our sponsors for allowing us to do a podcast like this every few weeks. And we'll be right back.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Sirius XM is where moments happen, and you'll find them here 24/7. In music, talk, sports, comedy, and news. Live and on demand. And they're on in your car, online, or on the app so you won't miss a thing. Visit SiriusXM.ca/never-miss-a-beat. All right. So, Brian, our next installer, obviously you have a very strong relationship with. You know him quite well. Why don't I let you go ahead and introduce him so I can bring him on?
So is it Tom?
Oh, it is. It's Tom. It's definitely Tom. Yeah, it's definitely Tom.
No disrespect by all my other friends too, because I have mad respect for everybody on the call. But I will talk about Tom specifically. Like I mentioned, Tom and I have worked together for many years. And, Tom is just like the coolest cat ever. He's always calm, collected. But if you guys have ever worked with him, it's amazing to watch him because it's like magic right in front of you. And you're just like, holy shit, dude, I can't believe you just built that. And I watched you do it. It's really cool. He executes and thinks completely different than anyone I've ever met. And he is one of the most talented guys on the planet. So I love him dearly. Mr. Tom Miller, welcome.
Oh yeah! How about that? What an intro! That's a crazy intro. Like, holy smoke! I couldn't even have done that even if I had a script in front of me. That was amazing.
I don't think I can live up to that. Thank you, Brian. My gosh.
Well, welcome to CMA Live, Tom. We're
Thank
super
you, Ben.
excited to have you.
Dave, good to see you guys.
We got Dave. Brian, you gonna stick around with us a little bit?
I am. I'll be here through the whole thing.
Oh, amazing. All right. So, Tom,
Yes,
this is the Fabricators episode. Started with some big guns with Brian obviously laying it down. You're obviously, you're obviously part of that crew, part of that camp as a teacher. Can I say that? Or trainer, if you will.
Sure.
But let's make no mistake, folks. If you don't know this man's work, you're about to find out, because we've got some really cool images that Tom was so nice enough to provide for us. And when we're talking about Tom, I'm just gonna put you on the side. I'm gonna talk to DMAC real quick here so we can desensitize the audience before we blow their minds.
Bring it down a little. Brian built it up a little too much there.
DMAC, when we were talking before about Tom's work, you were pretty passionate and enthusiastic about it. Why don't you prep the audience on what we're going to say? And I mean, we're talking about, let's be clear, an installer of the year as well, right?
Absolutely. So, I mean, we've talked a lot about who would be on this episode, and I know all these guys, and so I put my votes in, and I did pretty good in terms of my score. But I luckily, as the the editor-in-chief of bestcaraudio.com, I get to spend my entire day, every day, looking at car stereo installations, writing about car stereo installations, just explaining them, and all the stuff that supports them. So there's maybe 10 guys in the industry where if I need a picture that explains this is the best way to install a speaker or a radio or an amplifier or integrate a subwoofer enclosure into a car, and I need a picture for an article, there's a bunch of guys, and Tom is one of them, where it's like, yeah, use my stuff, give me the love I deserve, and and share it with your readers. So the design that Tom does, and I think this is the evolution from installation to fabrication, and then I think we could also call it integration, because the stuff that Music Car Northwest turns out, Tom's shop, it's custom, it's creative, but every single thing looks right. You look at it and go, yeah, that was great, and then it says, well, yeah, we built that. And most people just they stop dead in their tracks. Like, well, how? We took 17 pieces and we milled them, and then we did this, and it looks right, so we're good. And off they go. So that's my perception of what they do, and it blows my mind. It makes me smile. I go looking for pictures for articles, and I get to look at all this great stuff.
I can't agree with you more. And I'm going to allow Tom. I'm going to start off, Tom. Maybe just tell the good folks at home where your business, where you're located, and I guess maybe we can segue into what your signature or specialty may be that we can get into a little bit deeper.
Music Car Northwest is the company, and we are a team of 7 people. I've got probably one of the I think the best team in the industry, but definitely one of the best teams of the industry, is not debatable. And we're in Portland, Oregon, and we've got about a 3,500 square foot facility that we're expanding on now and getting a little bigger. And we keep really busy here and get to do a lot of really cool, fun stuff. That's what we like to do.
I like when you say fun stuff. I want to kind of get into the nitty gritty right now. When we say Tom Miller, when you put your name on something, what is that signature? What is your style? What is that look and feel that people know you for?
I think Dave kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. I know the topic of this is fabricators and fabrication, but we really do consider ourselves more integrators than fabricators, because fabrication is just one facet of what we do here, and it's the last part. It's the last part of the plan. There's a lot of thought that goes into what we do before we ever cut anything. And so there's a lot of design planning that goes into it. So if there's a kind of a signature look, I mean, it's well integrated into the vehicle, and that's why we don't do a lot of full interior hot rod builds and things like that. We do a lot of late model European, and probably the signature look is kind of invisible, or it's kind of just seamless like that. Like
seamless is a great word.
You look at something and you're like, that looks like it either came from the factory, or that was a high-end audio option that you could have ordered from Stuttgart for your Porsche. That's kind of what we do.
I'm going to show a couple images here, folks, and I don't even know how to really describe this, but he's being very humble, and I'm just going to blow your minds right now. So Tom's process is to envision the final look, take and put it on paper as an illustration, and then as a concept, and then move it from concept to completion. So let's start with this right here. What are we looking at here, Tom?
So this is actually, this is Shaq's car. And so this is a build that we did on overhauling. And it was me and Brian and JT Torres, Gary Bell, and we had a very short time frame to do a really large, enormous build. And I'm sorry, Fred Lynch, of course, Arc Audio was a huge part of that team as well. Trying to make sure I don't forget anything. But yeah, so like I said, an integral part of my process or our process is to make sure that we have a plan to work off of, especially when we have a truncated time frame within which to work. You know, we can't complete large builds and execute them at the level that we want to execute them at without a plan in place first. And really, like Brian was saying, you know, that we all we speak the same language. So you put me, Brian, Sean, and Tyler in a room and give us a picture of something, we can all build it, and we can work together very cohesively, and we all kind of speak the same language. So all we really need to get going on a project like that is a drawing, put it in front of us, and this is the plan. This is kind of the vision. This is the light at the end of the tunnel, and this is what we want to see when it's done. Let's just figure out how do we get there.
Well, I'll tell you this. So this was the vision that you sketched out, and here is the final product.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
pretty close, huh?
I don't even know what to say. DMAC, help me out here.
Well, I mean, I was pretty lucky in that I got to see a couple spy shots along the way, as Fred and I are good buddies. And my jaw was on the floor. It was amazing. And while the episode, when it finally aired, it was a little light on the audio, there was a moment at the very end where Shaq was sitting in the car. It was right at the end of the credits, and he was just nodding his head, and I knew he was listening to the stereo, and just his jaw dropped, man. And that guy, I mean, he can have whatever. He's got a couple bucks. So
yeah, absolutely.
No, that was it. That head nod was it.
I want to move on to. There's just so many examples here I want to show.
Okay.
So what is this one from? I mean, that is gorgeous.
So this is a class Brian and I did, one of the Master Tech classes, and actually this is one of the kind of the higher echelon classes, a hot rod or all-star school build. So these classes typically you're going to get to when you're at a more advanced level. And so this is a concept for a center console for a Chevy Camaro, 67, 68 Chevy Camaro. And so this is kind of what we do when we're doing a 4-day training. Is Brian will bring in a couple of instructors, and the instructors have their own project. In addition to the students all building their own project throughout the time frame that we're there, the instructors have a kind of a special project that we work on, and so that's what that was. So that was drawn, the week or two leading up to the class. Brought the drawing down with me, and we don't start anything until we get there. So bring the drawing down with me, and then we just get started on building something.
So just to be clear, these images and illustrations were all done before anything was fabricated.
Right.
All right. So there's the center console right there, and that's the finished piece.
Right. Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about how many processes were involved in doing something like this.
There's quite a bit, and it's kind of a culmination of all the different techniques and skills that we've acquired over the years or decades that we've been doing this. So there's definitely some old school hand machining stuff and body work and stuff, and then there's a lot of technology built in with CNCs and CAD design and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of everything that goes into being able to pull off something like that in a pretty short time frame. And that was a fun one. It was a fun project. It's a lot. It's so much fun to be able to do that. And then, you know, for it's very satisfying for guys like me and Tyler and Brian and the other instructors that come down there to be able to go down there and hang with our bros and building stuff with your homies is the best thing ever, right? But also, like Brian said, we always develop something new, some new technique, if not 3 or 4 or 5 new techniques in every one of these classes, just because we have this drawing and this design we have to build against, but we have to figure out how to do it in this time frame. And so that, you know, born of necessity, we always come up with all these amazing new techniques, and then that becomes part of the curriculum for the next class, right? So it's always evolving and always being pushed. It's pretty awesome.
That is some awesome stuff. So let's see. We looked at a trunk. We looked at a center console. How about this guy right here?
Yes. This is a long time ago. So you'll notice this is pen and paper. Back a little bit on the drawing thing. So, and maybe we'll talk about this later, but I haven't drawn my whole career. It's not something I started doing until like 2014. So about 6 years ago. So this is one of the very first projects that we did where I actually drew it out beforehand and you know, all pen and paper. I've moved on since to more digital stuff with the iPad and Procreate but yeah, this is just a layout for a door panel for VW Beetle for wow, there it is, for our good friend Todd. And yeah, that was another class project down at Mobile Solutions that we did.
And I'm looking, obviously there's a lot of custom upholstery here. Are we talking about, what about the hardware? Was that fabricated as well in this particular case?
Not the window crank or the door handle, but the other aluminum pieces you see those are fabricated in class.
Okay, absolutely cool. I want to go to one more here that I really enjoyed taking a look at. I believe it's this one here. Yeah. What is that? I've been trying to figure this one out from this image.
So that's a saw enclosure in the back of a Porsche 911.
Oh, okay. We're looking at it from the driver's seat looking back.
Correct. Yeah,
okay,
you're looking
gotcha.
at the back window, and so that's a single Morel 8-inch subwoofer down firing. So the grill portion there is kind of the slot for the down firing.
For the down firing, okay.
The hump is there for the magnet of the subwoofer.
I have a curious question here from a method standpoint. Are you taking images, like a photo from that angle, and then kind of tracing over and then building on top of that your ideas? Okay, exactly. You're not freestyling that from memory.
No, well, and it depends on what I'm doing. But if I'm working on a car and I'm trying to really integrate into the car in order to make sure I'm getting scale and proportion correct, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do it in an overlay system. So I'll either take a picture and trace over it, or now with my iPad, I can take a picture and just draw directly onto it.
Absolutely cool. Yeah. All right. I mean, honestly, Tom, we could stay here all night just going through all your work. So because I'm interested, and I'm sure those watching, where can we see your portfolio or some of your work to get inspiration?
Yeah, I'm pretty bad about this. I mean, we do a lot of work that we don't post, and we just stay so busy. But you know, Facebook and Instagram, we definitely have a Facebook and Instagram, and we post some stuff up on there.
What should people be searching for? Is it Tom Miller?
Northwest.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, we're on Instagram at music.nw and on Facebook at Music Northwest, and you can see a lot of our catalog. So we do these large projects every so often that we call signature jobs, signature editions. Mm-hmm. And when we post those up, it's going to be like 100 pictures at least. And we really go in depth behind the scenes on the fabrication photos to kind of do how it's made for people, so they can actually see the nuts and bolts of how things are made. So there's a lot to look at on there.
I got to end with this one. This is like my favorite diagram. It took me a while to figure out what I was looking at. But why don't you go ahead and describe what we're looking at here?
Yeah, this is an interesting project, and we actually just completed this project. But yeah, so it's a Model X, Tesla Model X, and in addition to tons of other little bespoke modifications that we did to the vehicle, we did kind of Bentley style or Rolls-Royce style umbrella holders in the doors. Yeah. So it's it's a lighted alcove built into the side of the door panel, and it's really cool. It's a push action magnetic mechanism that we kind of came up with. And so if you slide it in there and the magnet holds it in place, and then you push on the end of the umbrella and a plunger pushes it out so you can grab onto it.
Now,
Really cool.
this has nothing to do with that, unless it does. Is that an actual Tesla umbrella, or you customize that as well?
Yeah, no, it's a Tesla. It's an umbrella that we found online that was Tesla.
Oh, okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. Absolutely neat. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Tom. I mean, obviously, you have set a benchmark. It doesn't take a genius to know that you are on top of your game. Congratulations, really, on everything you've done. I know myself, I feel inspired just looking at your work. I'm pretty sure I speak on behalf of many installers out there. So thanks for being with us tonight. Thanks for sharing with us a little bit of your work.
My pleasure.
We're going to ask you to hang back a little bit so that we can get into the cool powwow we're going to have at the end of the
episode.
episode.
I'm not going anywhere.
All right, man. So, guys, I mean, if you like what you see so far, let me see it in those comments. We're going to have a question period at the end. We got some pretty cool guests still up ahead. And why I like these two guys, well, maybe a little partial to. These are Canadian guys. We got one from, the Ottawa area and the other one from the West Coast, and two guys that, for me, I mean, gosh, like Sean, I've seen his work for the last 20 years evolve. And Tyler, I'm just starting to learn. And we did this whole profile on him on our website, CanadianMobileAudio.com. If you haven't checked that out, we're always running, we're trying to showcase Canadian talent through dealer profiles, through installer profiles. We do install bays, and we've already showcased a lot of work of the next guy we're going to bring on. Let's go ahead and bring him on. It's Mr. Tyler No, representing Certified Auto Sound. What's going on, Tyler?
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Oh, God, I'm getting my mind blown by the minute here, and I'm about to get my mind blown a little bit more. And I know what you're going to say. So, Ben, how could you bring me on after
Tom?
Like, well, there's a reason for that, because you don't give yourself enough credit, man. Like, you have to understand, like, the stuff, I look at Tom and I see his stuff, and it's like so next level, so like elite, right? What I love about your stuff is that, man, I can envision that stuff in my ride right now. Like the stuff that's how I see it. Like, we're going to go through this, but why don't you tell the good folks at home where you are on the planet, where, who do you represent, what do you do, and all that good stuff.
I work for Certified Auto Sound in Maple Ridge, BC. I've been here for 3 years now, just over 3 years. I've been in the industry for about 15, 20 years. It's kind of hard to remember exactly how long.
All right.
It kind of blends all together.
Awesome. I'm just queuing up our images here. Now, Tyler, when somebody is talking to you about looking into system and they're like, man, I really want something fabricated, that keyword, fabricated, what we're talking tonight. What would you say would be, your signature look, feel when it comes to fabrication or making something one-off for a customer?
I'd like to say it. I always try to make things look like they belong, but then after we see Tom, my stuff doesn't look like it belongs.
Oh my goodness, you're so hard on yourself.
I like everything clean. I try not to do things too over the top, too much. I try to keep it clean, try to keep it simple. I've learned lots from Tom and Brian in the past, so try to keep some cues from the car and the design and try and make it look like it belongs somewhat, even though it's a big aftermarket stereo.
I think you brought something up here that I want to maybe dive into real quick. Obviously, I started this episode showing a picture of you and Brian. Yeah. You've obviously attended the Master Tech courses. Talk about that whole experience, as a Canadian installer, flying down there and getting the full treatment.
So I've done a couple of classes with Brian off-site up here when I was at my previous job. And Brian always said, like, his off-site classes, when he comes up and does them, they're always good and they always are very informative. But he's always like, man, you got to come down to my facility and attend a class there. It's totally different. And I finally got the opportunity 3 years ago now when I was part of the MSC build for Doug Dobson's Audi. And he's right. Being there in person at his facility, you just learn so much more. It's the one-on-one time you get with Brian or JT or Tom. that's irreplaceable. Like the amount of knowledge you get from those guys on that one-on-one time during class is unreal.
And did you go 1 session, 2 sessions? How many times did you visit?
In the last 3 years, I've been down to Brian's, God, 8, 9 times now.
Okay. This is not just a casual
I've been
visit.
there. I've been there a lot in the last 3 years. Ever since I came to certified, they've sent me down there a ton, and I've had the opportunity to do some really cool projects with those guys. And the last couple visits, I actually got to be on the build team, so that was a totally different experience and totally different level. And that was just, the best experience I've ever had in this industry is being at Brian's in a class or part of a build team or part of a special build like we did for Doug.
Amazing. Well, talking about builds, I'm going to go in and dig into a little bit of your portfolio here, Tyler. How about we do some of that? Let's talk about this guy right here. Let me bring this up for you. What are we looking at here?
That's a $56 package tray. We actually just finished this one about a month ago now. And I love this one. This is actually my favorite package tray I've ever done in a car. Just because it to me, it looks like it really belongs in the car. It suits the styling of the interior, along with some chrome trim rings around the speakers because that car is just loaded full of chrome, right?
What kind of components are we looking at there?
That one's got a pair of Blam 6x9s in the back.
Okay.
So
very, very sweet.
Well, it wasn't anything too crazy, but audio-wise, but it did have a lot of fabrication in it.
All right, and now let's go to this guy here. Sorry, there we go. So what are we showing off here?
That is an amp rack cover for a Chrysler 300 I did. So in behind that, there was 5 of the Helix M1 or 5 Helix amps. So I had 3 M1s, 3 4-channels, and a monoblock all behind that. And
what kind of process? I guess what I want to know is what type of process is involved in getting something like this to this level, to this stage.
Oh man, I'm not a great drawer like Tom. I try to draw things out, try to sketch them out. It doesn't work out that great for me. I'm more of a sketch a few ideas and let's see what I can come up with. And this is, to me, it's all about layering it. I just start with my base layer and start building off that and make sure I have room to add or take layers away and just get the look I want to go for.
All right.
And the finished product.
That's the finished product. So obviously you incorporate some lighting in there. And I mean, before you went to mobile MS, were you able to do this stuff? Because I mean, this is not just an amp rack, or you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of stuff going on here. Like did you?
I think the big thing going to Mobile Solutions, starting to learn design things and actually making things look this way, I guess. I didn't really have a great way of designing things. I didn't have a lot of good design ideas, and they kind of teach you that.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go on to your next item here. So here we go. What are we looking at here?
That was the beginning of the Corvette build I did that we took to Dallas last year.
All right. And then we went from there, we went here.
Just another stage of it. Yeah. I got all the panels in the car, made sure everything fit, got all my layers down, just kept installing, just putting things into the car, putting them in, taking them out, making sure they fit, test fitting all the layers.
I'm definitely seeing the layer theme, and many use of different materials. How many materials are there here?
We got some paint, we got some vinyl, we got some suede, we got some pressed grill, we got some polished acrylic in there. We got a little bit of everything in that one.
And there's another shot of it as you're layering it up.
The nice thing about I thought the cool thing about that car was I had to build everything in that car and not wreck the car at all. It all had to come out and go back to stock. So that entire stereo comes out of that car in about 20 minutes out of the back of it. Yeah, and it's all bolted into factory bolts in the floor and stuff. So it can pull out in about 20 minutes and go back to stock.
And last but not least, Let's talk about that. Actually, you actually have a little video here. Let me see. There we go. Let's play this real quick here.
Was mainly to showcase that the whole trim around the deck is held on with magnets.
Dude, that click is so satisfying to hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when that just clicks in, it's like,
a satisfying click.
It is a satisfying click.
Because you look at it and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get this thing apart? Well, the whole fascia is held on with magnets. The deck's secured to the dash. So you can pop that off fairly easy and then still access the deck and service the car.
Yeah, man. Hey, D-Mac.
Yes,
what
sir.
What do you got to say about our man Tyler here? He's so like humble.
I've got like the inside hookup, right? So my company does work for Tyler. So we work together. So I get to see his stuff. I get to call him and I'm like, dude, how'd you do that? I know how you did this. and I mean, the conversations are always the same, but it's like, oh, I see it.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's like I said, it's like it's me going into a candy store every day, right? Guys build stuff, and I get to talk about it. So
that's what we do. We work at the fun place. We get to fabricate and build stuff, and that's what we do, right?
Sounds good.
You kind of make people's dreams come true. It's awesome.
All right.
Yeah, there is nothing better than the client coming to look at the car and they're like, oh my God, that's exactly what I wanted, or it's better than I ever dreamed. And yeah, that's a great feeling.
Definitely.
Absolutely cool. Tyler, thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to keep you in the back studio so we can bring you back. And we'll go. Hey, you know, D-Mac.
Yeah, buddy.
For me, Tyler represents like that new blood. You know what I mean? Because his ideas of the layers he's saying in such easy ways, but man, those layers are complex. You have to have that vision to be able to layer like that, such that you can arrive at that final product, right? And I think that's my takeaway from his style.
No, you're right. Decades ago, I remember, and I was never a fabricator. I've always just been the geeky guy that knew how stuff worked and could talk people's ear off. But I remember, like 91, 92, I was doing something in my car. I needed to put some fuse blocks in. And this idea of like, hey, I should put them on an angle because that's harder. And so now a lot of these guys, they crank stuff out. If you remember the picture you showed with the Alcantara or suede wrap stuff, it's scalloped. And those subtle little details, I'm not that kind of artist. I don't,
Well, that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're just talking about the artist.
There's probably a reason, right?
Yeah.
I'm building, but I'm not like these guys. So.
Exactly. Well, I think this is a great segue. We're talking about Tyler having, his signature kind of, I guess, layer deal. Our next guest absolutely has a signature. I'm going to let you introduce him.
Oh man, so yeah, I've known. So the next guest is Sean Bashara. All right, he's from Ottawa. Everybody in the industry, and I don't mean just North America. Sean's the aluminum guy, the illuminator, the master of metal, whatever you want to call it. I can't even figure out how he comes up with stuff, but he does things with aluminum that guys would have trouble doing it on a CNC machine, and he's in his shop. I just cut it out. I just cut out of wood, and I'm just gonna router it, and then I'll polish it, and then I'll do this and this, and guys, you'll see the pictures. It blows my mind, and the guy is humble and he's hilarious. He calls me all the time, Davey, what are you doing? And we yak and we have fun, and then he goes back to it.
Well, I'll tell you.
I can't explain it all. It's great.
This was the other guy that I was super stoked about when he was coming to CMA Expo. He was doing a was it Fab After Dark? Was that was Sean? Was
Me and Tyler were going to show guys.
Right, him and Tyler together were supposed to do that.
I was going to bring in my router table and the shop vac, and we're going to fling aluminum.
Yeah.
To show guys how to do stuff. So whenever that happens, I mean, it's still going to go down. I don't know when. It might be 2021. It might be 2022. I don't know how this whole thing is playing out.
Anyways, it was supposed to go down, and it was supposed to be awesome. But you know what? I'm super happy. We're circling back. Here we are. I'm going to bring him on right now. Mr. Sean Sharrow. What's going on, Mr. Sean?
Woo! Here we are.
Here he is.
What's going on? Yeah.
Thank you for your patience, sir. I know that you had to wait, but we saved the very best for the very end, no doubt.
Oh, I don't know about that, but hey, I'm here. What's going on, guys?
Well, as you notice, we've been talking a little bit about fabrication tonight. Yeah. And D-Mac over here has kind of put you on a pedestal, being Mr. Aluminum. Uh-oh. Why don't you tell the folks who don't know you, like, does that ring true? Is that what you want to be known for? Or
no, I don't know. I guess I want to be known for just having a really broad set of skills and being able to do a lot of things. And it's through trial and error and just taking a lot of really big chances. And they pretty much always work out. I have
you know, I have personally seen your work, you know, for many years now, and how it's evolved. And we had a chance to chat a little bit during the week. Man, I don't know how. Let's just go to the pictures. Why don't we do that? Let's just jump in. So I'll let you talk about what we are looking at, because this first picture, I was confused until you explained. So look at this here. We're talking about fabrication, folks. We're talking about making stuff from scratch out of nothing at all. Sean, what are we looking at here?
That is the lower dash for a 1936 Chevy. So this car came to me, has paint, custom chassis, brand new everything, brand new LS. And the customer's like, I want an interior that looks like it was designed in 1936, but I want it to look like it's brand new, like brand new. So what I did with that, a lot of the aluminum, a lot of the repeating lines, it has a really Art Deco look that was really popular in the 30s. So everything you see there, everything's done on a router table. The rings, the only things that I didn't make are the two knobs, which are just your standard, your aftermarket GM headlight knobs. So all the pieces, the bent piece of aluminum, I did, it's the same way we do like a press grill, but I did like a monster press inside a press, and we bent that big piece, and then we machined the rest of the stuff, and it really wasn't that hard. I probably have 2 days of that whole piece.
Wow. So everything we're looking there, with the exception of the knobs, was from scratch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all 6061 aluminum.
You said metal guy, Dave. You were joking. Okay, let's keep the ball rolling. I got Sean's energy high. Let's just go to the next one. Here we go. Next one. Boom.
Oh yeah,
take that in.
Yeah, it was for a customer in Hamilton. He said, I want a distro block like nobody else has. I said, okay, I'm going to build you something cool. And I'd never worked with copper before, and I hate copper because it's really, really soft. And what happens is the copper ends up getting in between the flutes of the drill bits and snapping. The breaking taps inside there. It was a long, painful process, but in the end, it was really, really worth it.
Custom power blocks.
Custom
copper
power block. Yeah.
And stainless. I'm guessing aluminum. Sorry, aluminum.
Yeah.
Take that in, folks. Take that in. Man. Okay. What are we looking
at? Okay. So this is a customer, and he owns they're opening a Tex-Mex bar here in Ottawa. And he says, listen, we're going to buy this Volkswagen bus. We want you to cut it in half and make it into a bar. And you're apparently the guy. So I said, I've never done anything like that. He's like, can you do it? I'm like, sure. He's like, okay, you got 2 months. I'm like, I can't do that. He's like, you have to. I'm like, okay, cool. So when we got this thing, it was completely rusted out. It was a complete disaster. The frame was rusted out. Everything, we replaced so many of the bottom. Well, I actually built this on myself. I replaced all the body panels, the floor in it, reinforced the frame, took the motor out of it. Then I welded all the doors shut, and then cut the whole thing in half, reinforced everything, engineered everything so it's going to work, and so the girls aren't going to kill themselves when they're opening and closing it. And yeah, it was a big job.
So what I like here, what I'm seeing here is I mean, it's a pretty diverse palette of applications, right? I mean, when I met you, Sean, you were doing car audio. This is well beyond car audio now. I mean, we're talking...
you know what? Everything I do leads back to car audio, and like I've got a set of mobile solutions templates here, and I use them on steel more than I use them like on wood and stuff like that.
Really?
Oh man, yeah.
Well,
Like everything that we're doing in car audio, anybody can. Like, if you just keep chasing it, it can evolve to anything you really want.
look at talking about evolution. When you showed me this picture, I was like, I give up. What is that? Like, what are we looking at?
That's a subwoofer box for an F-250. It's all stacked fab with aluminum accents, and that is real oak on there. So we got some oak. It's either oak or mahogany. So we have a specialty wood shop. We went and got it, machined it all up, and sanded, and clear coat. I think we got 7 layers of clear and just polished the crap out of it. That's got a pair of Audison subwoofers in it. It's a really, really great looking, great sounding box too.
Okay, I'm gonna just shift gears real quick here because we have 2-3 more pictures I want to go through. But here's a question I want to ask you, and I ask you this because I've known you longer than anybody else on this panel, so I feel I want to know, you know, who are your early influencers? I asked Brian that question earlier. Like, what got you your mind into this stuff? Who influenced you?
If you look at my stuff, there's a lot of Fishman in there. Fishman and Steve Brown, where there's still a little bit of that 90s kind of flash with all the aluminum and stuff like that. Like Fishman, he was the man for aluminum back in the 90s. I actually started doing a lot of aluminum when I got invited to Toronto to do a project with Gary Bell and Steve Brown. I helped out for a couple of days on an Alpine project. And that's where the whole aluminum thing started.
And that would be the catalyst into you going from an installer to a fabricator?
No, I was a fabricator before that. Like we were always we started off building like free air boards for the old kickers back in like 1989, 1990. And it just kept on evolving, and it hasn't stopped evolving.
Well, okay. So here's my question to you. We got this ton of great fabricators out there. I'm going to throw this question at you first. If you had somebody that you could choose to build your own custom build, who would that be? And you weren't allowed touching it yourself.
I would choose probably the youngest guys in the industry, and I would like to sit there and coach them and help them.
Nice.
Very cool. I really like when the new guys come in the industry, and there's a lot of really great new guys. One of the sound quality, I think it's just they bring a certain fire to it with the industry that a lot of time they see, like I have it. And I see a lot of guys, they're like, and it's like, no, man, this is like the Fast and Furious days. We have to build really fucking cool shit.
Beep, beep, bleep. All right. That's okay.
I made this part with that swearing.
You did. I was like, wow, he's doing really good. He's doing really good. All right. So 2 quick ones. What are we looking at here? This looks awesome too.
Yeah, that's the back end of the 36. That's all Napa. This Mercedes-Benz Napa leather from Hyde's Leather. This car, believe it or not, corner to corner is 1 inch and 5/8 crooked. So every panel in this car is built really crooked because the body is it's an original steel car, and it was just not really straight. But it's a beautiful car. So this is all the panels. Everything is there's a lot of work in there.
Absolutely cool.
Yeah.
And let's talk about some carbon fiber.
Oh yeah, that was a snowmobile project that I did for a local guy, and we made it kind of a showpiece. That was all handmade carbon fiber. It's got a carbon fiber subwoofer box for JL Audio 8-inch in the back. It's got some JL Audio waterproof amplifiers underneath the hood. Is that what you call it in those things? I've never really even touched a snowmobile before I worked on it, which I'm probably the worst Canadian for that ever. But
look at that though. Look at that.
That's
sweet stuff.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool because the lines on the subwoofer box match up with the lines on the front fairing too.
I'm just gonna play this, and I'm just gonna leave this there. Check this out.
So,
okay, what do we?
This project, like, I got a phone call. Like, okay, I have a lot of weird customers. Okay, like they're out there, and I don't know how they get my number. They didn't find it. And this guy calls me, and he sounds like a crazy person. He's like, "Hey, I have a horse trailer, and I want you to turn it into a bar." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And he's like, okay, I have 2 horse trailers. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, come by. He's like, yeah, I'm at banjo practice. I'm like, where's your trailer? It's attached to my car. I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. So he shows up, okay, and I'm like, okay, what are we doing? He's like, I want to make a steampunk trailer, and I want this rabbit head. I don't want it to look crazy. I want it to look like nothing anyone's ever seen. I'm like, okay. So I got in way over my head. I'm like, we're cutting the horse trailer apart and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do for the rabbit head. And we're building all the parts. I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do with the rabbit head. And then my wife goes, well, what about origami? I'm like, okay, you know what you're talking about. She's like, no. What about origami? I'm like, it's not gonna work. And then she pulls up a bunch of pictures. I'm like, wow, that's super badass. So we ordered this origami kind of to these plans from Russia for like $12, and then we took them. We went to Staples. We got them blown up. Took a few tries to the size we wanted, and then I cut it all in between 20 gauge and 18 gauge, and we bent it all up. And the guy's like, "No, leave the welds. We want it looking rough." So we left all the welds on it, which is good because I didn't feel like grinding all that thing. And yeah, that is you can build that out of paper if you wanted, but it's built out of steel. Each rabbit head has about 40 hours to do it. And it's over 3 feet tall, each one.
Dave, so you mentioned that, Sean is the metal guy. So what separates the type of guys that we have on tonight's show? Well, let's talk about Sean. Like, what makes, obviously he's a very vibrant character, but what separates him and the work that he puts out to the next guy? Like, what is it, in your opinion?
It's this, well, like you said, taking risks, right? There's a certain creativity. They draw from different aspects of the project, but just they're not afraid to say, well, you know what? Okay, this part needs to move a certain way. I'll just drill a hole in it, put a pin in it, see how it moves. If that doesn't work, I'll tweak it from there. And all these guys, the ability to see the end product before they start work, and then reverse engineer how to get there. That's the difference, I think, between a fabricator and and it doesn't take anything away from a great installer who does premium, reliable work, but it's a creativity aspect, and some people have that knack. My youngest son, man, he plays with Lego, and he's got the instructions open, and he's not even looking at the Lego. He's putting parts on, and he can see it. I don't know, like, I get it. The rest of the people, they're like, I don't know how you figured that out. So it's it's a visionary thing, it's a creativity thing, but it's the ability to put it together in your head and figure out how to take all the pieces and parts and manufacture them and put it together to get your end result.
Well, what I think I've learned tonight, before we get to this grand finale where we're going to get everybody back and have a cool discussion, is, you need the training. That, first you need to have the vision. I think you have to be creative like anything else. But I think what Mobile Solutions offers are those tools and those resources and the training to allow you to, make what you have in your head actually happen. And everybody has a different take on it. Everybody has different, styles, as we've seen with Tyler, with his layering, and then obviously Sean with the metalwork, and Tom with his crazy illustrations going in. I think it's what each fabricator makes of it based on having that training and having that skill set. So this leads us to the end of the show, where we're going to get everybody on, but we're going to take a real quick break and thank a sponsor, and we'll be right back. Make sure to check out SiriusXM.ca/SXV300 to learn about all the amazing benefits of adding the Connect Vehicle Tuner to your SiriusXM Ready car stereo, including how to save 2 ways with 3 months free, plus free tuner after $80 rebate. All right, so what a great night it's been. This is the part I was kind of looking forward to, because I got a couple questions I want to ask these guys. Hopefully you guys watching, if you have any questions, we got you down on the comments bars. We've had so many guys in the Canadian industry on here tonight with us, everybody from Grant McFadder to Ramesh. I've seen Mr. David Singh on there as well. I know Mr. Mobile Solutions of Calgary is there as well. Larry, we've got, Thanks for joining us. Obviously your support, you listening to us, is what keeps us going and working hard to get these great guests on. But I'm going to go ahead, grab my partner here, Dave, and then we're going to get Mr. Schmidt back. Brian, thank you for staying with us this long time. And then we're going to bring in Mr. Tom, Tyler, and Mr. Betra as well. Okay, guys, we have an international audience tonight. Everybody from Chile to Mexico. It's pretty crazy. You guys have obviously brought some following with you. My first question, before we get to any of the questions I see here from the comment section, and I'm going to direct this question to Brian first. Brian, you are obviously connected with the pulse of what's going on when it comes to trends, right, in the industry. What do you forecast to be the next fabrication trend for the next few years? Big question with the big man first.
Well, you got to look and see what's trending right now, and kind of where people are spending their money. I think that there's a lot of audio is back, and so if you think of audio upgrades, that kind of dovetails into, like Tom said, integrating. And I think bass is never going to die. I think the audio is big, and it's going to continue to get bigger, especially with this pandemic. More people are in their cars right now, arguably driving. That's why our industry is so good. They're not flying. They're not on cruises. They're in their cars or their boat or their RV or whatever. So I think big audio upgrades is huge. And that kind of, if you ask me, I'm going to say probably bass. And integrating that would be probably a good thing. Convenience devices, cameras, all that stuff. The tech, bringing in the new technology, and some of the other guys can probably comment as well on this. But I think audio is back and back bigger than ever.
I'm gonna bring that. I was hoping you'd say that because that's kind of what we've been sensing with the last few podcasts we've done. So Tom, you're a retailer yourself. Can you add to what Brian is saying with the fact that audio is back, bass is back?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that depends a little bit on your clientele and your demographic, and we pertain more to the audiophile than the bass head for sure. I mean, we don't do SPL builds, but every big build is going to have some bass in it for sure. We see a lot of radar detector installations. I think as far as what's on trend is, and maybe this is just kind of me and the crowd that I hang out with, or the industry as a whole, but we're starting to see more of a maturity in what we're doing, and I think that's great because everything doesn't have to be a CES demo car from 2001, and so we're the integration scheme sort of thing, where things are more, they have more of the factory design aesthetic, I think is great because it brings in a wider demographic of people that are like, oh yeah, I can have a really cool, awesome, amazing sound system, and I'm not going to have RGB LEDs flashing in my face when I open the trunk necessarily. You know what I mean? So I think that's a really good trend, is to see the integrated style of design kind of bringing in more clientele that maybe wouldn't be interested in what we were doing before.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Now, to go to Tyler next, maybe from a Canadian perspective, have you seen any trends or what you forecast to be trends in the next few years in our market?
My store's a little different. We deal with a lot of big builds and older hot rods and stuff. But for the day-to-day stuff we do get, like today specifically, I've quoted two like $5,000-$6,000 stereo systems for guys that were 55 plus. So just in there, one guy in his F-150, and he just wanted to upgrade speakers, add some bass to it, and have some great sound in his truck. So yeah, it's kind of, people are spending more time in their vehicle. We're just starting to do audio upgrades more, and it seems to be more and more popular. It's not just the young guys wanting big bass in their car.
Well, that certainly is good news for the industry. I mean, I think three different specialists do agree that the sound is going back into the cars, and it's our jobs as within the industry to make sure all these customers get satisfied. Sean, you touched on something earlier when I talked to you about who you want to build your car. You mentioned the younger installers. So my question to you is, what advice do you have? And I'm going to ask all of you this question, so prepare an answer. What advice do you have for the young aspiring installer, wannabe, get to fabricator status guy who's watching this right now?
I got in this industry in 1988, and I have gotten to work at like all over the place, go help out on builds and stuff. It's been a really great life. It's a really fun life. You get to meet arguably some of the smartest, naturally smartest people you're going to find. Guys like Tom, what other industry are you really going to meet that? I get to be like friends with people like that. It's a really fast paced life, and you get to build stuff. And as long as you keep going, like the sky's the limit. Like you can pretty much, you can sign your own paycheck. You can make a lot of money in this industry.
Okay. What about you, Tom? Circling back to you. What advice do you have for the? I mean, you talk to new guys all the time coming to.
I do, yeah, and kind of like sort of my role here has been to bring on, I've got a really great team, which I said before, and kind of being a mentor to them and help them develop their skills has been great. I think that the first thing that you have to do, and this is kind of a plug for Brian and Mobile Solutions, but you have to acquire the skills. You have to have those tools in your mental toolbox, as Brian likes to say. The more skills and different techniques that you have and that you can go to, the more varied your work can be, and the better you can execute. And then my biggest advice is always to have a plan. You want to have a plan before you go into anything. So we talk about designing the project and then troubleshooting the design, engineering, and do all that before you start anything. And if you can take the time to learn how to draw, it does definitely take a commitment to do it. But man, it's so much better when you can make all your mistakes on paper, than making all your mistakes after you've already started the project and you got to throw some stuff away. So that and try not to be, to build something that kind of everybody's going to like and necessarily have to be unique just because it hasn't been done before. Just it doesn't have to be unique.
Okay.
Ask the guy that designed Pontiac Aztec. It's not necessarily.
Yeah, right. That's a good one. That's a good.
Was that directed towards my wife, Tom?
What? Really?
The Aztec comment.
Oh man, no. Well,
Brian, obviously, you run the school for the guys to be that fabricator. But I'm gonna say, I've also spoken to young guys that be like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm kind of happy where I am. And what message do you have for those young guys that, going back to when you were young and you were aspiring to get to that next level?
So I guess, look, you got to kind of back up and think about why you would be in this business anyway. You love cars, you love music, you love gadgets, you like to build stuff, and all those things, kind of equate to what we do. And a lot of our customers think the same way. So guys that are already tinkering and they want to get into it, it's becoming more popular now than ever because of the internet, and they're seeing stuff, and that gets them excited. And I just think that you don't even know what you don't know. So if you're thinking that, oh, I don't want to go to that class because I don't want to feel embarrassed, or I can't execute like whoever or Tom or any of us, it's not about that. It's about opening up your brain and just going, okay, I'm a huge sponge and I can take up knowledge. And once you start to learn and you have successes, you're going to build upon those successes and become better at your skill set. And I encourage guys to, get some experience, work on your own car, and have a system in your own car. Work for the better shops in town. Even though you don't make as much money as if you pay your dues, it will pay off in the long run. And ultimately, you have your own shop someday, or down the road do whatever. I mean, Sean's doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and he, like he said, he writes his own ticket. He just tells them it's X, and he's truly an artist. And I think that the sky's the limit. But you got to hold true to your values. You got to believe in yourself. You got to want to go to the next level, and and that's what I encourage guys to do. It's just, go to that next level and go for it. Believe in yourself and do it.
So that's awesome. We talked about Mobile Solutions, Master Tech Certified. Brian Smith, you heard it from him. DMAC, I know you're burning with the question for these guys. We got about another 5 minutes left. What do you got to say? What do you want to know?
Sure. So we'll keep it simple, okay? Fabricator guys. I mean, as Brian said, your brain's your biggest tool. But what I'm going to ask, we'll ask each of the guys, what's your favorite tool?
Good question.
Could be, could be whatever. There's no wrong answers here. So
how about we start with Tyler? Let's start with Tyler.
Tyler, all right, hit it, dude.
Favorite tool, the router table.
Yeah, man.
Everything starts there. Doesn't matter what other tools I have, what I'm using. That that's the main tool.
Router tool. How about you, Mr. Sean?
Okay, I just bought a pretty good sewing machine, okay? And I am completely addicted to sewing. And I never thought I would ever talk about this in my life. And I never thought I'd spend $3,000 on a sewing machine. But it's like, I assume it's like golf. Because when I'm not sewing, I want to be sewing. And you know, like golfers, like they have a crappy day, but they still like it. That's me sewing. So yeah, that's my thing.
Sewing. Never
Sewing.
expected that one, but we'll
No,
take
man,
it.
I love
We'll
sewing.
take it. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. How about Mr. Miller? What is your one singular favorite tool?
Yeah, router.
Router as well, eh?
Yep.
The
for
indispensable,
sure.
the indispensable
right.
router.
You couldn't do what we do without the router.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, Mr. Schmidt, your favorite. I mean, you have a million tools, I know, but if you had to choose one,
Okay, so we're all tool junkies, and you can't have enough. But I think all these guys are right, because the router is kind of the gateway to building all of your shapes, your profiles. All the geometry starts there, and even if you have automation, if you're kind of moving it up into a laser or CNC and stuff, we still use the routers every day, more than that stuff. So I think the routers it would be my favorite choice as well, and you can never have too many bits.
hashtag that
Amen.
router life. That router life.
Router life.
Okay, gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. Man, what a great show this has been. I've learned a lot. I think we showed a lot of people and opened their eyes to what fabrication could be all about from some of the best in the game. I want to remind you folks about that BB Distribution, Mobile Solutions, and Sound Shield special. We'll have that up on our Facebook page. If you're not already following us, check it out, Canadian Mobile Audio. Gentlemen, I bid you a very good evening. Thank you so much. Hopefully we can do this again. Mr. Tom Miller, Sean Bashara, Tyler No, Brian Schmidt himself from Mobile Solutions, and of course, my partner in crime for this evening. Thank you so much, Mr. DMAC from Best Car Audio. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that tonight. This is episode 4, CMA Live. We're bringing it to you every week, every 2 weeks. And we're going to try to come up with the best content, the best guests possible, because obviously we need to. Who else is doing this stuff? Nobody. CMA is. So, again, thanks for watching. This, of course, is and will be a continuing saga. I feel that we covered a lot. I think we can do more, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So thanks to all these guys for coming. Hope you learned something at home. Again, check out our website, CanadianMobileAudio.com, where we're always coming up with dealer profiles, installer profiles, product spotlights, install bays, social media, Instagram, and of course Facebook, where we'll be posting those specials from BB Distribution. So thanks again for joining in. I'm your host, Ben Wu. You've been watching CMA Live, courtesy and presented by Sirius XM. We'll see you in, not too long. Ben Wu out.